So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're going to talk about with Rob. He's the lead singer and guitar player for the band Mission to Sleep. So, we're here to discuss. They just released an EP like a week and a half ago, and they're a pretty cool new band that if you like those bands like Price, Glassjaw, and might I say, some Deftones to it. You may enjoy this band. So, first of all, Rob, good night. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've seen your channel, so this is super cool to be on it.
Yes, and what can we say about two people who are interviewing on a Friday night? like, 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 like we have no life right now that we can do this on a Friday night. No, I have my kids, so yeah, it's perfect Friday meet to talk to bands. So, well, I want to thank you, for being a fan of the channel. So, if there's any bands that are watching this, like. Actually, Rob emailed me because I put a link. Like, there's bands like if you have a newer band, send me your music. I'll listen to it. I can do interviews with up and coming bands as well. But yeah, the EP is called White Death, and I've read some. There, you've gotten some great traction so far on it. How has it been the reception to this new EP?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I would say, well, first of all, two guys on a Friday night, and we both put our kids to bed. So we're
That's a
dads.
win.
That's a way. Yeah, exactly. The traction has been awesome. Our sound, like you said, can get heavier like Deftones. It can get more melodic like Thrice. It can get pretty chaotic like Glassjaw. But some of the earlier stuff was more indie and more pop. So we do a bunch of different genres and try to make a unique sound for ourselves. And I think the reaction's been good. We have heavier bands who email us and say, "Oh, we should play shows." And then we have shoegaze bands who want to play shows, and we have punk rock bands who want to play shows with us. So it seems like our sound is catching on with a bunch of different genres and different bands, which is awesome. So the traction's been really good, and the feedback from the media, from interviews and blogs and Spotify, everyone's been really cool. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think it's good that you're a band that can fit in different musical categories because not a lot of bands can do that. And the fact that you could play with shoegaze band, that you could play with alternative rock bands, more new metal, like it's cool that you can that the range of this EP is vast and you can play different areas. And I also heard the previous singles that you had because I know that you have a few singles like a few EPs before this. So the band formed, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020, correct?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, it wasn't a band; it was just me.
It was just you. It was just your musical project. How did it? Were you in the lockdown and you wanted to play music? How did the idea form for Mission to Sleep?
Yeah, yeah, good question. Exactly. So we were in the start of the pandemic, and I had no gigs, no rehearsals. I didn't see any of my musician friends, so I just started actually recording covers in my bedroom. And similar to you, I'm a dad as well, so I would put my kids to bed first, and then that's when I had the time to be creative. And my wife would always complain, "Isn't that the time you should be going to sleep?" And I said, "Okay, well, this is my mission to sleep." So that was the band name because I was writing all the music between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. In the middle of the pandemic. So it started off as a solo project, but a couple years into it, I brought in a couple friends of mine who we used to tour and play together, and we started writing together. So the last EP and this EP, we've been writing as a group. So it started off just very much me experimenting and figuring out what I like, and you can hear that if you listen to the old stuff. Some is more indie, some is more shoegaze, some is more hard rock, where this is a little bit more post-hardcore, a little bit more alternative, a little bit more grunge, and the sound's just evolving naturally by bringing in more people.
No, yeah, I agree. And so, is what covers were you like? What's the first like cover song that you did?
I think it was "Come as You Are" by Nirvana, but I didn't do it with a guitar. I did it with piano, and I made it really kind of really spacey. And then I did I did a U2 song with a friend of mine who was a singer, and we did kind of like a chill acoustic version of a U2 song. And then I did kind of this like apocalyptic cover of Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun. And then I did a jazz trip hop version of a Deftones song. And then I
Which
did
one?
Passenger.
Oh, Passenger, right?
Yeah, so yeah, so there was actually a girl in Ohio. Her name is Samari West. She's awesome, and we found each other in a Facebook group of singers, and we both like Deftones. We said, wouldn't it be cool if we did a cover from Boston to Ohio? So I did all the instrumentation, sent her the track. She sang Maynard James Keenan part, the guy from Tool, and I sang the Chino Moreno part from Deftones, and we released a cover of Passenger, which is pretty cool. And then I did a Frank Sinatra cover, because there was no rules in the pandemic. I was just experimenting and having fun.
No, yeah, I think that's I also started the channel not quite at the beginning of the pandemic. I really took my time. At first I was afraid like I don't know, maybe it will suck, but until I finally did it, and yes, it's fun to do it. It's a creative thing. Plus you did your covers, and I like it that it's called Vision to Sleep because you were instead of sleeping, you were doing that. And of course, Sleep Token was already taken as a band name, so
Yeah.
you couldn't take that name. So yeah, so what's the for you? What's been the main difference from your last EP to White Death?
Yeah. So the last EP was called Post Youth. And it's called that because it deals with a lot of things that I didn't deal with in my childhood. So I talk about the death of a family member. I talk about, my lack of relationship with my father. I talk about, suicide and depression, things that, I just, as a teenager, never really dealt with. And when I was writing this EP and writing lyrics, organically it just started coming out that I was just singing about stuff that was just troubling for my whole life. So Post Youth was my way of just putting that all together into a collection of songs and just letting it go. I would say the new EP, White Death, is much more observative. It's less about me, but what I see around the world with social media and with all of the craziness that's happening around the world right now. So White Death is much more less introspective and more observative and more finger pointing right now.
Yes, and it's an EP. It's 15 minutes, but the only thing that I wanted more when it ended. I'm like, oh, I wish
Thank
there
you.
had a few more songs. But yeah, it's really the sound is really good, and I'm gonna show the cover. I love the album cover. First of all, because it's called White Death, but you have those palm trees and the sky. This could be anywhere in Puerto Rico. I can tell you.
Ah, okay,
Any
yeah.
beach in Puerto Rico, you see those type of palm trees. Was this a painting or a picture?
It was a picture, and we manipulated a couple different things. So there's actually two images on top of each other. The obvious one is the palm trees, and then in the distance, if you see right in the center, there's kind of this blurry little centerpiece.
It looks like
Um,
water.
Yeah, it almost does, right? So it's actually a landscape photo of a couple different buildings that I really liked, and we color treated this in a way that was going to be a contrast to the music, right? The music is sometimes aggressive, sometimes rock, sometimes driving, but all of it is pretty serious, and we wanted something that kind of just juxtaposed the music with a really beautiful image. But because the song talks about reality versus social media and things like that, we wanted to kind of oversaturate this and make this beautiful photo kind of distorted and kind of almost fake, just like how social media is right now.
Yeah, no, but it looks cool. It's a great album artwork. I think that anyone that enjoys cool artwork, I think it represents well the music. So yeah, it's 4 tracks. So let's do this. Let's go on a track by track. So the first track is Sign, but it's called SINE
Hmm.
instead of sign of the time. So what does that what is this song about?
Yeah, the song is about the unnecessary pressure that women feel from social media. So I see this from my wife and my nieces and my sisters-in-laws and everyone around me, and they're always trying to, do Botox or try the new makeup or try this new product or there's a new weight loss pill. And it's all of this stuff that social media is telling women how to be. So Sign of the Times is essentially a song about people who give into that. And the song is written from a perspective of in the chorus. I asked the question, "Where is the line for refusers?" There's no exit for people who don't want to fall into that trap. So Sign of the Times is very much me acknowledging the fact that social media is super toxic to the mental and emotional health and the physical health of not just women but men too, everybody, because social media is just now pushing products and people trying to influence us. And I just while social media can be amazing in terms of connecting us and making us more intimate, there's a lot of cons to it as well. So that's what Sign of the Times is about.
Yeah, and I like that you say men too, because I swear to you, Rob, like the other day I was having like a conversation with someone about something, and then I get the Facebook ads. And I'm like, they're listening to me.
Yeah.
But a few years I got really mad. I started getting a lot of ads for like a pill that was like a Viagra. And I'm like, why are you sending me? And they send you because you're from the age of something to something. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Facebook ad, like telling me that. So, it's great. And you know what? In a social, like, I just recently divorced last year, and now I'm getting all these ads about divorce. I'm like, I'm already divorced. Why are you sending me like more stuff? Like, I'm not gonna get re-divorced. So it's it's hilarious, but it's kind of shocking that you can say something and then you get those ads. It's like it's kind of creepy if you think about it. It's like there's no privacy anymore if you think about it. You think you're private, but not really, because
Yeah.
like,
And it makes you feel like you're not good enough, right?
yeah.
These ads come on. It's like, do you wish you had a six pack? Do you wish you had perfect hair? It's like, well, yeah, everybody does, of course, right? But the way they market it, the way they advertise it, the way they push it onto people is just so unhealthy.
Oh
So
yeah.
I wanted to write a song about the impact of those societal and social media pressures on people.
Yeah, and I like the line where you goes that beggars can't be choosers on that
Mm,
song. And
yeah.
that line is sound perfectly. I really like that line. That line stood up to me, and it's on that song. But yeah, no, it's the ads. The more recent one I've been getting, and I don't know why, is apparently Canada wants me to move there.
Okay.
I'm like, you should move to Canada. I'm like, well, I like the tropics. I would freeze in Canada, but I would get great health care
There you go.
over there. I look at the positive things. So yeah, so that's Sign of the Times. And then the second song is called Delirium. What are the themes that you explore in Delirium?
Yeah, so this one's probably a little bit more obvious, but it is a song about addiction. Whether it's, you can read into the lyrics and figure out what it is for yourself, but whether it's a chemical or drug or alcohol or whatever it is, it's about addiction. And the chorus is you worship all the chemicals. And it just kind of shows that it can grab people and take control of their lives, right? In New England especially, there's such a really nasty opioid addiction, and a lot of people are losing their lives to pills and making a lot of bad decisions here. And that is so common in this area. So I have lost a couple of friends to that as well. I mean, I dealt with that myself in college. When I was in school, I was a user. I was depressed. I was trying different things I probably shouldn't have tried. So that song is kind of my anthem, to people struggling with that.
And that you overcome it, and you got past that. But yes, I know, like, people can get addicted to many things, like drugs, sex, you name it. So yeah, it's a great song. And that one, I think musically, what was the influence musically on that one? Because I felt it's like aggressive at parts, and sometimes it's not aggressive. Like what influenced the sound of that song?
Yeah, the chorus is a little bit more upbeat. It certainly has a little bit of, Foo Fighters, Taylor Hawkins drumming influence there, where the intro is more shoegaze. It's more spacey.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, even in the bridge or even some of the breakdowns in the chorus, it kind of goes into post-hardcore. So it's all over the place. And I'll be honest with you, when we wrote that song, it started off as a pop song, and we had actually written, kind of this 22-piece orchestra at the ending. And we never
Wow.
used it. We never used it. I'll share it with you offline so you can hear what it used to sound like. It's pretty
No,
interesting.
that sounds cool. Yes.
But we were listening to it and we just said, the lyrics and the music just didn't really match up. The music needed to be more aggressive to kind of match the tone of the lyrics. So we changed it quite a bit. But I will share the original with you so you can hear the demo. And I'll probably post it on Instagram just for fun, so people can hear it anyways.
Yeah, that sounds like very interesting and different. I think Slow Fidelity, which is the third song on the EP, that one I really love the beginning because it's really spacey. Like I
Mm.
got a lot of like Failure vibes. Do you remember that band Failure? Great band, very underrated band in my opinion. Uh, and that's the one that used like I find myself in predicaments. Yeah, it's you got great choruses, my friend.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
that's I don't think that's easy to do. So Slow Fidelity, walk me through the themes on that one.
Yeah, that one's tricky. So I try not to tell you which perspective it's sung from, but the song is about sex addiction and using sex as an escape. But the song
Is
is
that why
sung,
you sounded like Shino Moreno?
maybe, but I
Because
mean, he's just a massive influence on me, anyways, right? I mean, he's an influence
like
on so many,
like
so of course,
Shino Moreno, his voice oozes sensuality.
yeah.
So it's about sex addiction, but you don't know from which one is coming. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about
Yeah,
that.
so the song is sung from two different perspectives. So one, a client, and two, a prostitute. And I don't tell you who's singing which line, but it goes back and forth, and they're kind of having a conversation, right? So so find yourself in predicaments
Hmm.
and fuck your way out, right? Is an interesting
Yeah.
line. The end of the chorus is, kill the lights in your personal prison, meaning, okay, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this because I'm addicted to it. So let's turn off the lights and let's do it again, And I feel like it's such a dirty and dark world of sex trafficking and human trafficking and prostitution, and it's really dark and it's kind of a really sleazy vibe. So that's why we chose that drum track. We wanted something that was kind of sensual, kind of halftime, kind of slow, but also kind of trippy too, right? Because the drummer plays it with a swing. All
Yeah.
the chords have a ton of dissonance, and then as you can tell at that ending, the whole thing just kind of explodes with a ton of guitars and a ton of vocals. Yeah, that's a really interesting song.
Yeah, and it's a subject that many people don't talk about because there's a really dark side uh, to sex addiction. You know, if you've been to Amsterdam and it's like you walk through the red light district and it's kind of like a culture shock. But it's obviously prostitution has been around since biblical. It's forever, and human trafficking. I think there's a movie right now. I haven't seen it, but people talk the one with Jim Caviezel.
Oh, I don't
Uh,
know.
yeah, Song of Freedom. I just read through it because people were complaining that people were promoting Barbie and not that movie. I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, no. But yeah, it's an interesting song, and I like the way that you don't like you can leave it to the imagination that maybe they're talking, or maybe it could be interpreted like it's their thoughts in their head while they're about to do, because it sounds like it could be like people thinking and not talking too. So
Yeah,
it could be seen different ways.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. I try to set that song up with the first line, which is, searching for soul in a hotel room. you know? And it's like this person who doesn't know who he or she is, and they're just stuck in this loop of just searching for themselves, but, searching in all the wrong places, obviously.
Well, we've all been guilty of that in sometimes in a
Yeah.
point in our life. So yeah, it's a great track. And then you end with Point of Failure, and that one is, I think that one's like one of the most aggressive ones on the record,
Yeah.
obviously to end the album. So what's the theme in Point of Failure?
Yeah, so this is sung from the opposite side of the screen of social media. Whereas before I talk about the influence and the impact of social media on people, now this is the effect of that, and now this song is about the people who are influenced by that. So, I should probably start with the chorus, which is
Sure.
uh, "Live a tabloid life, but not a magazine death." And what that means is people are so concerned with, airing their laundry and sharing every single little bit of detail, um, but they don't get the proper, grace and love and things like that when they pass away. So, what I'm trying to say in the song is that, life is so fleeting and everyone places so much emphasis on social media, but, none of that really matters. And, all of these songs kind of allude to different parts of social media, from using filters and getting that little blue check mark and doom scrolling, and all these different themes of being addicted to social media too. So also a pretty dark song.
Yeah. Damn those filters. like 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 then you meet someone in real life and they put like 5 or 7 filters. I'm like, you didn't look like that. I'm like,
Yeah,
I rather people send honest pictures so we people can see the real thing. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, like that point of view of like on the other side of how social media and the magazine death, yeah, like people are like so obsessed with like celebrities, who's
mm-hmm.
doing what, and some celebrities are guilty of posting too much themselves,
Yeah,
because like some, I think there's some that even post like what they're eating, where they're at. I'm like, you are making it very easy to a stalker to know
yeah,
your life. Like there's artists that are not that don't put everything. And I also it's easier to get music now, but I think now there's bands that even like when they're gonna release an album, they put out like half, or is it 10 songs and they put out seven. So where's the fun in that? You already heard 7 songs. It's
yeah.
I like that, like mystery, like you heard like the 2 singles and then you got the album. So it loses like a little bit of its magic for me.
I agree. Yeah, I won't name names, but there are two bands that I really admire who just released 6 songs out of a 10-song CD. And by the time I heard the regular record, I said, "Well, it's not that special anymore." So I totally agree.
Yeah,
And
that happened a few years ago. I think Slipknot put out an album and they put out almost all the album. I'm like, what's the fun in this? Uh, but yeah, there's great. I think there's like a return to like '90s styles with bands like yourself. I'm obsessed with Teenage Wrist.
yeah, I
That's an
love Rest.
Teenage Wrist. I did an album review for the band that will premiere soon, and yeah, I love that band. Narrowhead, Soft Cult.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of like cool bands doing '90s style, but with a modern take.
Yeah,
And you guys are doing that as well, because I grew up in the '90s, as I think you did as well. So I think that music holds like a special place in my heart to me.
yeah, for sure. Marshall and Anthony from Teenage Wrist are awesome. Just awesome people, and what an incredible band. Even their old bass player, who broke off and started his band Heavenward, is awesome too. But there's
That's
a
a
whole
great band as well.
Yeah, there's a whole scene of people from, like you said, Soft Cult and Arrowhead and Gleamer and Teenage
That's
Wrist
a
doing this cool, like, alternative shoegaze thing. And it's okay to be raw. It's okay not to be perfect, because the last 10 years have been dominated by perfect metal, perfect metalcore, and hardcore. That was just so precise, that these cool rock bands are just coming out and letting it be
it's
more
just
raw and gritty. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so many breakdowns that you You can listen to. It's like, okay, here comes the breakdown.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
actually, that Teenage Risk album, they have S.A. Martinez from 311 on a song. When I first read, I love 311, but I read it, I'm like, I don't know if that will combine with the style that they do. But oh my God, they made it work, blend so perfectly. Like it's like a 311 mashup with Teenage Risk, and it didn't sound out of place. So that's really cool. Would you be like in future releases, would you be open to collaborating with other artists on any song?
Yeah, we're talking about that now. So funny that you bring up the concept of a full album. We have 3 or 4 singles, 2 EPs, and
Yeah.
I think we're just about ready to just kind of sit down, hide away for a couple months, and try to write a bunch of songs for a full length album. So we're exploring that now, and I'm really excited at the notion of that. Right? I fought myself for a long time because I know that people don't have the attention span for a full album unless you're a national band like
Tell
Deftones or
that to Billy Corgan, who put out a 30 free rock opera.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I think there's going to be a renaissance in music where people start caring more about the content and the delivery of it. Vinyl's coming back, cassettes are coming back. People care more about artwork more than ever. People care about merchandising more than ever. And I think people got so sick of the packaged singles. And here's another packaged single, and everything's so perfect that I think I want to look into our next release and create a cohesive piece of art of 8 to 10 songs. So we're
Yeah.
going to start actually writing next Sunday. We're going to getting together and we're going to start writing a bunch of new songs. And writing is really fun too in this band. So we're gonna have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah. How do you tackle the writing? Do you all sit down in a space to collaborate ideas? Do you do the music first and then you think of lyrics?
Um, Actually, no, we don't really come together in a space. We kind of operate on Dropbox and Google Drive. Oddly enough, this started in the pandemic. So our Google Drive's organized by Justin's riffs or John's ideas or Jeff's ideas or my ideas. We have a
Like we
full
made the album on Microsoft Teams.
exactly. We have a folder in our Dropbox that is 5 synthwave electronic songs that are done. I don't know if we're ever going to release it, but they're out there. So we all come from different backgrounds. John is very much a rock drummer. His favorite bands are Under Oath, As Cities Burn, August Burns Red, that kind of stuff. Justin's more into the more progressive stuff. He likes the Vola, the technical heavy stuff, the
Oh, that's a
super
good one.
yeah, and Jeff is the complete opposite. He's, you know, um, acoustic, folk, indie. He likes thrice and he likes the heavier bands like Norma Jean and Converge too, but he very much, stays in the spacey realm. And then me, I'm kind of all over the place. I used to dabble in electronic music. I used to be in hardcore. I used to be in pop. I played drums for an American Idol, for a long time. So that
Oh,
was an
really?
interesting. Yeah, yeah. So we all just have really diverse backgrounds. So when we write music, everyone just has their own folder, and we just email the group or text the group, "Hey, there's a new song up in my folder. Go check it out." And I'll go in, and Justin will say, "Hey, here's a new song at 170 beats per minute," and we tag everything with the beats per minute, so I can just drag it into my recording session, and I can play on top of it and send it back to him. So we have this online folder where we just share everything. And when we think we have enough music to get together in person to be productive, we bring all those ideas and try to work it out and try to riff off each other.
Nice. How rock and roll has changed. In the past, it would have been like four people in a room doing cocaine, drinking, and a song would come out, be like a Guns N' Roses. And now it's like, no, send me your folder. Everyone's so organized and so sober that it's rock and roll is different. But you know what? Uh, it comes like great music, like, and bands. I think a band can stay together that way because you're not gonna be fighting if you're like sending files. I think it's plus it's the modern age right now where people can connect and do an interview through Zoom, and things technology can be used to an advantage. So Yeah, so people, I would recommend White Death to anyone who likes those fries, Glassjaw, Deftones, and also check out your last EP because I listened to it too. It's pretty cool as well.
Thank you.
Especially I like the single that you released there, April Doom.
Thank you.
Uh, so yeah, so people check that out. So before I let you go, I know it's a Friday night. Uh, I'm gonna ask you like, so since we've talked a lot about the '90s, uh, name me your five favorite bands from the '90s and
Oh
why.
gosh. Okay. Okay. Uh, this is not in any order, but
Okay,
five favorite bands. Silverchair. I love Silverchair.
me
And
too.
a lot of people don't realize that they transition their sound really drastically later in their career.
Yeah, if you listen to Neon Ballroom and
It's the best.
Frogstomp, I love Frogstomp, but I think their best album by far is Neon Ballroom, and I tell you why, Rob, because first of all, that album starts with Emotion Sickness, and
Ugh,
with that,
ugh,
it's just a great opener. Plus, you really get to see how Daniel Johns progressed as a songwriter. You gotta realize the first album they were 13 fucking years old, and
yeah,
a lot of people shit on them. And this is what I would tell them: what the hell did you do when you were 13? Did you have an album that everyone knew around the world? No, you didn't.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. And then even more so, Neon Ballroom to Diorama. Diorama was
Mhm.
brilliant. It was a masterpiece, you know?
Yeah,
And a lot of people
straight lines sucked, but
not for me. I agree.
yeah.
I agree.
Uh, after that, you can tell that Daniel John was sick of rock and he just wanted to go pop.
Yeah.
But even Freak Show's a great album. But yeah,
Yeah.
that Diorama's a great album as well. And it's like they went more mature from Neon Ballroom to that one. But Neon Ballroom has some great, Anna's song "I Miss You Love" and
Yeah.
"Steam Will Rise" that ends the album.
Beautiful.
It's just a great album. I actually own that one on vinyl.
There you go.
And Frog Stomp, because Frog Stomp to this day, when I did an anniversary album review with another YouTuber. He's called Live Listen Erase, and he's actually from Australia.
Mm,
So the hard thing to do was like pick an hour because Australia's like a day ahead. And I'm like, if I'm gonna do like a review for Silverchair, I need to do it with someone from Australia.
yeah.
So I did it with him, and it turned out great. And we talked about that album, and you realize how, like at his age, the lyrics in Frogstomp are
Yeah.
more mature than the
Yeah.
whole Blink 182 albums combined.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. So I agree with you. Neon Ballroom is, my favorite record. So if you fell asleep at Freak Show, don't forget to listen to Neon Ballroom and Diorama. You can skip Straight Lines.
Now, I like Freak Show too, but Freak Show was like more Frogstomp
Yeah.
2.0 a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, great album. So that's your number five. What's your number four?
Uh, Smashing Pumpkins, right? Obviously,
Now that
the
you're talking about Smashing Pumpkins,
oh yeah, what do you got for me?
check this out.
Oh yes, the
I
vinyl,
just I just got this the other day, and I did an unboxing video of this beauty because this is
amazing.
my most expensive vinyl, but so worth it.
Yeah,
I also have Siamese Dream, but Smashing Pumpkins also just like Billy Corgan is a genius.
yeah, he's a genius. Like him or not, hate him, whatever it is, he's a genius.
Yeah, I think people hate. There's people that like, oh, but his voice is whiny, but it's his voice. Like no one sounds like him.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm so mad that on the streaming services, Zeitgeist is not available. I
Hmm.
had that on CD. I'm like, just put it in there. And I think he's just trolling fans because when that came out in 2007, people were complaining that the sound was too compressed.
Hmm.
Do you remember that one when it came out?
I do remember. I don't remember it sounding super compressed. All I remember was I celebrated the day Gish came out on Spotify. I was so happy
Yeah,
to have Gish there because I mean, Gish and Siamese Dream, were
yeah,
hugely
but
influential to me. I mean, not just from Billy Corgan songwriting or guitar tone, but Jimmy Chamberlin's drumming is masterful. It's unbelievable, his drumming. And then obviously James Iha and Darcy, and the whole band is just great. So Smashing Pumpkins for sure, it's got to be on the list.
Yeah, they should put Side Guys in there. I was not a fan of their last album, but I still love them no matter what they do. But
I,
yeah,
I agree, but I appreciate that they tried it and they didn't try to repeat themselves. I appreciate that they
yeah.
keep on trying to evolve, and whether you like
The,
it or not, you have to
I
appreciate
did
that.
review it with some friends. We reviewed part by part. I think the only mistake that he did was saying that it was a follow-up to Melancholy.
Yeah, it
Like
was not.
that
It was
was the
not.
mistake. I'm like, it really sounded like a continuation of Sir, which
Yep.
I actually like that album with the dance things. I thought it was pretty interesting album. So yeah, Smashing Pumpkins number 4. So far, I love both of them. So we're number 3.
Yeah, we already talked about it. Failure, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I got there.
Ken Andrews is a genius.
Yeah, like when you like what's the album with the spaceman? Oh, I forgot the name. Maybe you remember it.
Fantastic Planet.
Fantastic Planet. I've been trying to get that one on vinyl. It's super hard. I got their last one, and they put out. I think they took their music out of. I think out of like the Spotify. I think they were one of the bands that took some of their. I think their last album they took it off, but I actually bought it, and I thought it was a great album. I think they're a band that I like the spaciness of the music. So I
Yeah.
could tell that you love them because of I think parts in Delirium.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but don't forget that Ken Andrews is an incredible producer. What he did for
Yeah.
Paramore, what he did for a lot of different bands, transformed their careers and transformed their sound. So he's not only just a great songwriter, but an incredible producer and engineer as well.
No, yeah, indeed, yeah. And Failure's a great underrated band. So your number 2 band.
Number 2 band. Okay. For a couple different reasons, I love Stone Temple Pilots. One, I think he's the best rock bassist of the 90s. His bass lines go really unnoticed, but if you really listen to it, he's doing so much work in supporting that guitar work. And
Those are brothers, the Leo brothers,
yeah, I think his bass lines and his bass work to dance around the vocals and the drums and the guitars. I think he arguably might be my favorite rock bassist in the world. And that's
Yeah.
probably a weird thing to say because not a lot of people think about him as the bass player, but he's brilliant. Obviously, Scott, what a voice, what poetry. I think he's got a lot of heartache that comes through in that music, and I think it's beautiful. But you just don't hear a band like that too. They're very similar to Silverchair, maybe with a little bit more commercial success, right? They had, the first record with Plush and all those big hits, and then they went
Yeah.
into, I think it was a Purple Next with Interstate Love Song and Big Empty and those things, and then they went into Tiny Music, which was more
Which
pop.
I remember when it came out, I wasn't a huge fan, but now when I listen to it, it's a brilliant record.
Tiny Music is my favorite record.
They went they went
classic.
really outside the box on that one, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they had a trumpet solo, they had organs, they had a bunch of different sounds. I think they were okay exploring different emotions from Scott. It wasn't so angry, but it was just as intense. So I think for a lot of different reasons, there's a lot of parallels to Silverchair in that people forget. They think when they think of Stone Temple Pilots, they think Plush, they think Cracker Man, they think all those first heavy songs, but
Yeah.
they have a whole
And
catalog of beautiful music afterwards.
I have a lot of their albums. I don't have Tiny Music, but I have number 4. And
Yeah.
number 4, that's the first song down that opens the album is great. Then I lost them a little bit with Shangri La Di Da and the one that has Days of the Week.
Yep.
And I love Chester Bennington, but I'm sorry, he didn't match well with Stone Temple Pilots. It wasn't Stone Temple Pilots. And now they have a singer that's trying to emulate Scott, but it's not the same.
It's kind of weird.
Uh,
He sounds just like him, but it's weird. Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
it's like the Wish version, you know. It's like
that's
I don't know, because there's other bands that have moved on from like for example, Alice in Chains.
yes.
Alice in Chains came back with Black Gives Way to Blue,
Oh yeah, great
and that
record.
was like one of the best
It's so
comebacks in music. Like their all their album, like that's a band to me that has no bad albums. Like they put Black Gave Way to Blue, The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, and
mhm,
Rainier Fog. And I
yeah,
think what I like about William Duvall is like he can sing pretty well, but he's not trying to sound exactly like Lane Staley.
yeah,
Plus,
yeah,
in that band, you have Jerry Cantrell also singing. So I think that's why I think that's one of the only bands, in my opinion, that have managed to do a new singer and not be like sadly right now, Stone Temple Pilots, it's like a nostalgic act. But Alice in Chains, their new albums are just as great as
yeah,
their classic albums.
yeah. Yeah, Alice in Chains got heavier, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
good for
Stone
them.
Temple Pilots, yeah, great band. And I got to see Scott Weiland sing on Ozfest 2005 with Velvet Revolver, and
Nice.
he played Sex Type Thing, and I think Dead and Bloated. He played like two Stone Temple Pilot songs, and they did like a Guns N' Roses song. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Guns N' Roses, but Velvet Revolver was the most. That album was the most Guns N' Roses album that was not Guns N' Roses.
yeah. I love that record. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing record. So yeah, we went out a little bit off topic, but bands, music. So we're down to your number one band from the 90s.
Okay, this probably is not a surprise to you, but Radiohead.
Yeah, no. Radiohead, like it's a great I have OK Computer on vinyl, and I think that's an album like they were so ahead of their time in 1997, like
Hmm.
talking about things that are coming true now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, even their evolution of sound to get to their super artsy side has been really interesting to watch. I hate to say it, but OK Computer is just a masterpiece, right? It's so cliche to say that because everyone says it, but it really is, a perfect record from front to back. There's
Yeah.
nothing to skip. You just listen to it, and it's just a piece of artwork that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a
I,
piece of artwork. And I remember the one that came after that. It took me a while to appreciate that one.
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the one after OK Computer. But yeah, great band. So yeah, great five choices of bands from the 90s. So Rob, it's been great talking music here with you on a Friday night. I've had
Yeah.
fun. We talked obviously about your band, Mission to Sleep. So what's next for the band? So you're going to record a full length. Will you do like some sporadic shows while recording, or
Yeah, so we're gonna announce a show pretty soon. We're gonna play in Providence, Rhode Island in November. We're talking about booking a show in Boston. We're talking about going to New Hampshire, and we got a couple different offers out there for a couple different interesting shows. So, we're all dads. We're not gonna go on tour. We're not gonna do that stuff. We're all too old for that. But I think we want to play quality shows, not quantity of shows. So
yeah,
if we can play 6 to 7, really fun shows a year and just have a lot of fun doing it while making cool art. That's really awesome for us. For us, it's less about the shows and more about just releasing music that we're having fun releasing. So I think
yeah,
the next months is just us starting our Dropbox journey and sharing all these songs together. And then once a month we'll rehearse or get together and try these ideas in person. And then I think I'm going to try to take the David Bendeth model, one of my favorite producers, and that I want to write 50 choruses and pull the best 12, and then take those 12 choruses and write verses for all of them, and then figure out what are the best 9 or 10, and then finish those songs, and then that'll be the collection of songs because that'll give us 10 songs that we love, we've put our time into, and we've crafted, but now that gives us 50 other ideas in the Dropbox to go to in the future. So I want to start with writing just really great choruses first. So
yeah.
we're
That
going to try.
sounds like a great idea. So I'm going to show here. this is, if you want to know more about the band, this is the band's website, the link tree. Yeah, there's interviews there. You can listen to White Death. There's the merch store. There's music videos. I'll put the link so people can, who want to know more of the band, go there and discover new music. People, there's new music out there. You you just need, and people can say like, oh, I can't find new music. Come on, it's in your freaking phone.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
Like it's so easy to find new music now. It's easy, but also a lot of music can get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
The good thing is, since I listen to all type of music, I always get suggestions of new bands, and I want to thank you, Rob, obviously, for sending me an email so I could discover your band and great music. And so people listen to Mission to Sleep. The album is streaming. I think you can buy it also, like if on Bandcamp, if you want to
Band.
support the band. Buy the shirts. I saw some of the merch. I think you have some with the print from the EP, right? Like with
Yeah.
the palm trees and stuff. That's a cool. I would buy that shirt to go to the beach.
I'll send you one. Send me your address. I'll send you one.
Okay. Well, until next time, people. This is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you, and good night.